David Goggins became that guy.
That guy.
You are a guy that, for a lot of people, you sort of embody the idea of hardening your mind and figuring out a way to do things that most people think are impossible. You've sort of become that guy. How'd you become that guy?
You know what? I grew up not that guy. They see me now as the guy that with his shirt off who can do 4,030 pull-ups in 17 hours, who can run 205 miles in 39 hours, who can do all this crazy shit. But what they don't understand is they don't understand the journey that it took me to get to this point.
How the fuck does he do that many pull-ups?
My dad beat the shit out of me when I was growing up. My dad owned skating rinks, he owned bars, he ran prostitutes from Canada to Buffalo, New York. My dad was a big-time pimp, big-time hustler. Anything bad about a person, he was that kind of guy. Beat the shit out of me, beat the shit out, out of my mom. There was an incident one time when my mom got knocked out on top of the stairs and he dragged her down the stairs by her hair. In my mind, I was always afraid. My whole life I was afraid, but I had this fucking voice, this conscience that would always be battling me, saying, hey, you gotta get up and do something. I didn't want to do shit. And I have a big time learning disability because my dad didn't believe in us going to school. So when I went to school, my learning disability, I had social anxiety. I was just a jacked up kid from living in this tortured home. So all the insecurities I had when I was a kid with my father, it just got worse and worse and worse. And the shit haunted me. And that voice that I talked about, it kept talking louder and louder and louder, but I was doing nothing about it.
That's crazy. It's so crazy to like look back at elementary school and think of like what the other kids went through, and you just have no idea. It's wild stuff.
I have a hard time with that. It makes me so sad to think that as we're sitting here right now, there's a child being neglected or abused.
Yeah,
or watching their mother take a beating.
That's horrible.
I mean, it's really sad. I don't know what film this footage is from, but the
Joe Rogan,
the actor playing his dad in this is a famous actor. So this must be a real movie that they're pulling footage from.
From the age of 19 to the age of 22, I gained 125 pounds.
Holy shit.
I went from 175 to almost 300.
That's
297 was my heaviest.
crazy.
And I started finding things that was comfortable. And the more things I found comfortable, the more uncomfortable my mind was. Because that voice I was telling you about, it always was there. I was just trying to avoid that conscience. I wanted to be left alone from that conscience, and it wouldn't leave me alone. What changed, I watched this Discovery Channel show, Class 224.
Class 224.
That conscience he's talking about, though, I totally can understand that, because like there's some times where I just like screw off and I just watch, play too much chess, or like, I don't know, that's what I've been doing lately, is just like I'll play a bunch of chess or something, and then it just hits a point where you're like, I have to do something productive. Like I can't just like not do anything. And so many people just don't even acknowledge that they're doing nothing. They just do nothing. They go to work, make like $10 an hour, and then they just like play 2K or just like watch TV, and that's it. It's just like, well, it's my time off. This is what I do. It's so crazy to me how people don't self-analyze. But it's really like, I mean, maybe it's just because I'm in the entrepreneurial space and like I surround myself with these kinds of people, but I don't know. It's crazy how many regular people don't do that, and they just go about their lives just doing nothing.
So it's funny that that's what you heard, and you're so right on everything you just said. But what I heard was, the voice that it's like more. That I just always felt like there was something bigger and more important for me to be doing, and I could never put my finger on it or achieve it. And
I think
the things I went after weren't necessarily it. And now that I'm like becoming like a Jesus lady, I'm like, oh, maybe that just wasn't God's plan, and it just had to unfold, and I had to be able to like let that unfold the way it's meant to. But I that's what I'm hearing. Like times in my life I can look back on, and my life's been a lot longer than yours, and say I wasn't living anywhere near my potential, and having those moments like feeling like I know there's more for me, I know I can do better than this, but I didn't know what to do, so I just stayed. And that's, I think, that's what I heard in what he was talking about. But I think both of our translations make perfect sense.
I was gonna say, I think all guys have that voice in them, but nowadays the matrix is so deep that there's like so many distractions to where it can kill that voice. Like if you're bored and something's hard, like starting a business, you can just scroll on TikTok and kill that voice, because it just empties your brain. So there's so many different distractions. You can just scroll on Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter. It's like a cycle back and forth every time you open your phone.
It's
and
it's true.
But it's meant to kill that voice.
Even of the way I interpreted that, what you just said is true of that also.
No, I know.
Because this can easily just distract me from, feeling like, I know there's more for me and I should do something about it. And it's the same, I'll just
I fight
stay
it all
here.
the time. Sometimes if like I've been doing work and then it gets a little hard and I take a quick break and then it's like, oh my God, it's been 30 minutes. Like, where did that time go? You just scrolled on like Family Guy TikTok videos with soap cutting screens on the bottom. And I'm just like, ugh! It's like mind numbing. And the thing is, I think a lot of the people like with COVID, or a lot of the real G's were able to, listen to that voice inside of them because you had so much free time. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's what I did during COVID.
Yeah.
I grinded Fortnite at first, but I was at least trying to like be a pro player. Like, I wasn't just playing for nothing.
Like some people laid around, watched Netflix, got fat, and complained that after COVID they had to lose 50 pounds. And some people sat in their living rooms and got ripped.
And started drop
didn't
shipping
need to go to the gym. They got ripped, or they started an online business.
No, I was just saying it's fascinating to me how people had that much free time and they didn't like watch entrepreneurial videos or try to learn about money. It's like, I don't know, even like at first I started journaling and I was like, all right, an hour a day of these videos. And it's crazy because that was like at one point my goal for the day was to just watch these videos or 3 videos of this online course I bought for like an hour a day. And then the rest I could grind Fortnite or whatever the fuck. And then slowly it just becomes to like, that's all your free time is doing what that goal was. It's funny.
Treated like the absolute lowest form on earth, and you really got to find it within yourself to say, I know I can do it. I know I can finish it. I know I can do anything they throw at me. That's where it builds character. You find out if you got it in yourself.
I watched the show, and it made me reflect big time on the piece of shit that I am, and I'm exactly what people said I was going to be. I was watching these guys going through Hell Week.
Hell Week, the most dreaded week of buds. It's the ultimate test of one's physical and mental motivation. A round-the-clock regimen of intensive physical training and harassment, with as little as 4 hours of sleep during the entire week.
And these guys are ringing the bell, quitting, dropping their helmet down, rolling out. A lot of guys just leaving. And it made me reflect on my fears, my insecurities. And I saw real men, what I thought were real men who were staying, who were overcoming adversity, who were overcoming all these different things that I had blamed so many fucking people in my life, my dad, my mom for not being there, my learning disability, my skin color. And so I sat there for a while and I was like, no one's gonna fucking come to help me. No one's gonna fucking come to help me. It's fucking me against me, period. I had to man up. And I said, the first thing I gotta start doing is facing every fucking fear I have.
Stop for a sec. So that first thing I have to start doing is facing every fear I have. If you really start to think about that, that takes more than a minute, but what are you really afraid of? Is there a conversation you've been dreading? Is there, something bigger than that? Like whatever it is for everybody, I think it's worth it to like stop and really, really think about that. And then think about like, I got to deal with that. I got to confront that. I got to cross that bridge and walk into that fire. Like, what is it? Do you know?
I think it's like a bunch of different things, to be honest.
Oh, it can be. It can be a lot of things. It doesn't have to be one thing.
No, I know, but like for me, sticking, like what I struggle with is like waking up in the morning and sticking to routine. Like.
But he's talking about like he reflected and said, "I gotta face the things biggest... I've been afraid of." And when we hit play again, we'll find out what he says, that he's afraid of. But so many people do that, and imagine.
I guess if we just struggle. Like it seemed like he was just like afraid with being uncomfortable because
he was asking about him. I'm asking about you.
Oh, you're asking about me?
And it may not be on the top of your head because, like he said, it took reflection and it does take time. But I'm going to think about that more after this. Like, what is it that I'm afraid of? All right, let's see what it was he was afraid of.
Calling recruiters up. I said, I'm going to go be a fucking Navy SEAL. There's a weight and height limit to get in the military. And I was 6'1" and 297. And I called this guy named Steven Salgio, recruiter, up. And he said, hey, come on in. He saw me, put me through the weight standard, all this other stuff. And to get into the class I had to get into, I had to lose 106 pounds in less than 3 months. So I was like, fuck that, I can't do that. I grabbed my chocolate milkshake and went back to Ecolab, where he sprayed for cockroaches. I'm going back to work, man. This is my life.
Damn.
Wow.
I don't like cockroaches too much. I hit the mother load of cockroaches. And I sat there and said, this is my life. This ain't gonna be it for me. So I quit my job, got back in my Ecolab truck, and I went home. So my first run, when I decided to lose the weight, I was, like I said, 297. I was about 32% body fat. My idea was to run 4 miles for my first run. I didn't know how bad it's gonna fucking hurt me. I used to run before I was fat, and I was like, fuck it, I can do this. I ran a 1/4 mile and walked home. I walked home and sat on my couch and cried. I said, man, I can't fucking do this shit. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And my mind just kept fucking with me. And kept fucking, you're not good enough, man. This isn't for you, man. These guys are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet Earth. You're not that.
How do you move forward?
What it was, and it's kind of funny, I was obsessed with Rocky. And I would fast forward with the little VHS tapes to round 14. Round 14 fucked me up like nobody's business.
Give up, Bill. I don't know.
When Apollo Creed beat the fucking shit out of Rocky, beat the shit out of him, he kept fighting. He was a dumb fighter, couldn't read, couldn't write. That was me. He was in that corner, everybody was saying, stay the fuck down.
Down, stay down. Apollo dancing around with his arms in the air.
And him getting up, Apollo Creed raised his arms up in the fucking air, turned around, thought he won the fight. He turns around and sees this guy getting up, and it was the face of Apollo Creed that changed my life. The face of Apollo Creed. It was like, just by that motherfucker getting up, not winning, just by him getting...
That's going to be my first tattoo, is don't let them win.
What's your mother's favorite movie of all time?
Rocky.
Yeah. I love this. The night before the fight. So Rocky, for those of you, if you haven't seen this movie, just turn this off and go watch Rocky and then come back, okay? Because it is the best movie. It won an Oscar for Best Picture. It is my favorite movie of every movie ever. But the night before the fight, and I'm not giving any spoilers away, you know, Rocky, he was just like an average Joe, like ham and egger, loser boxer, was never going to go anywhere. And he had this chance, you know, to fight for the title. And the night before, he was just walking around the neighborhood. He couldn't sleep. And he went home to his girlfriend, and the conclusion he came to was he didn't think he could win, but he wanted to go the distance because he just didn't want to be another bum from the neighborhood. And like, to me, that is one of my favorite parts of any movie, seeing this guy in the struggle, the mental struggle before, and then seeing him get up after he's gotten his ass kicked. And like he said, when everyone was telling him to stay down, you got to see this movie. It's the fucking best.
Sure, I haven't seen it.
We need to watch it again. You haven't
Rocky
seen
had
it in a
taken
long
his soul.
time.
Had literally taken his soul. His head goes down. He looks at him like, what the fuck are you?
Look at it.
I wanted to be that. I wanted to be the guy that people looked at. I don't care if you liked me or didn't like. I don't care. But said, this motherfucker is gonna keep coming after whatever the fuck is in front of him. I wanted that. I wanted that. I wanted that worse than anything in the world. I kept picturing me falling
Got his
down.
brains hanging out of his nose.
I wanted to feel something
What
besides
is that? A
defeat.
booger? Or no,
I
that-
wanted to just go the distance.
I want to go the distance. That's what he just said.
I say what
like
if a lot.
Rocky.
It sounds corny and it sounds weak, but it's true. What story would it be if my fucking fat, dumb, insecure ass can overcome this shit? What if I can be a SEAL, man? How would that feel? To go from this fat, insecure motherfucker to one of the best guys on the planet Earth. This journey is gonna take something that is gonna be incomprehensible to most people. So I would sit on my couch saying, who at 297, who can't fucking swim that great, who's scared of the fucking water, would have the fucking balls? Who had the balls to fucking man up, quit a job, and to put everything on himself? So it's how I started talking to myself and putting myself in a whole different category, and that would fuel me the next day, and I just kept using that as fuel and fuel. No one would do this shit. No one would do this shit. You're the baddest motherfucker around. You're the baddest motherfucker ever lived. I just kept fueling me with the right kind of message that I needed to hear that I was never telling myself.
Wow.
So
Self-hypnosis.
it became from being defeated
Yeah.
to like, man, all right, motherfucker, maybe tomorrow we can go 0.75. But I started realizing I can't run that far. So what I did was I became damn near a professional cyclist with the miles I put on the bike. I rode a bike a lot to lose the first initial kind of weight because my bones were just hurting so bad. My body was just broken. And then the bike got easier. I was able to run more. I went from like 1 mile. 1 mile was a great accomplishment. 2 miles, and then from 2 to 3 was a big one. Then I went from 3 to 6. They have a warning order that they give people to get ready for buds. And the whole thing was running 6 miles 5 days a week. And that was my goal. I failed, I'll go back to scratch. I'll use some positive motivation. I have like one day where I'm like fucking defeated. But I started realizing this is part of the process. This is part of the journey versus just saying, like I used to, I'm just not good enough. We always say that shit. I'm just not good enough, and then we try something else. I'm gonna fucking make myself good enough. And that became my mentality. I had to invent a guy that didn't exist. I had to invent a guy that can take any pain, any suffering, any kind of judgment. I had to build this callous mind, and I built it through suffering. I built it through downright fucking just crushing myself. If it was raining outside at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning, if it was snowing, my instinct was, we gotta fucking go out there.
You know what? You know what the thing is that people they'll bristle and they'll say, I can't do that. Oh, that sucks. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's just a different suffering. You're gonna suffer no matter what. You're either gonna suffer being a fat and lazy, eating Doritos on the couch, watching some dumb TV show, and never achieving any dream. That is suffering.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what? This is also suffering, but the outcome and the lifestyle that you get to live and the health and the freaking mindset, you know, the outcomes are totally different. Life sucks either way.
Yeah, you got to think, like what I think about too is like when I'm older, it's like what if I could have done this when I'm younger? And it's just like that time's just gone. Like that's probably one of my fears. It's like when you're old and it's just like I could have done so much more. Like that sounds like a horrible thought that I just like don't want to experience.
Yeah, no, and I have some things around that like I feel like, you know, squandered youth, but you know, you got to let it go too and just be like, all right, I still could have another 50, 60 years here, so I'm gonna work on those. But you're right, that should be a fear. Doesn't mean you have to accomplish everything that ever crosses your mind, but it should be a fear.
Why not?
You want to be on your deathbed and look back and go, I did all right. You know, I'm pleased with the man I became. But again, sucks either way. Might as well suffer and get a good outcome. I love that.
Fucking horrible in my life that I would normally say no, that was inhumane to most people. I had to go do it. And I lost the weight. I went back to recruiter. I got into that class. And I went through 3 Navy SEAL Hell Weeks in 1 year. Only guy to ever be in 3 Hell Weeks in 1 year, to my knowledge. The first one I didn't make it through. The next 2 I did.
Tom did 5. I don't know how long it took him.
I didn't stop anymore from there. And I started realizing through this process that the fucking mind is what you created. And I started opening different doors that I didn't think were even there, that I didn't think even existed. And the more doors I opened up, the more I started realizing that my potential is damn near endless. If anybody knows my life story, and I'll try to give you just a snippet of it, to get through where I'm at now, there's nothing but pride I have for myself that I can't really show people. Because I have this face that they see like, are you happy? What's wrong with you? You're missing the story, man. Am I happy? What the fuck did you think? Don't misunderstand the passion in which I speak for not being intensely happy. But I'm not done. No, I have a lot more shit to do. A lot more shit to do.
Yeah, I don't know how some people like just don't intake this content. It's like some people just don't watch any of this stuff. They don't watch him. They don't watch the Tates. They don't watch any of these dudes. I'm like, that's just crazy to me. It's like such life-changing stuff to see.
But even if they do, some people are so damaged that they default back to, I could never do that.
Crazy.
How many times you've had you're only 19 and you've had those conversations with people? I could never do that. Why not you? Why not you? This guy could still be killing roaches. He could be 350 pounds by now, killing cockroaches for a living. Nothing wrong with that if you're, really truly content in your life. But like he wasn't content, and he had that voice in him that said, "There's more for me. I don't know what it is, but there's more for me."
But you know what? If he had more distractions and shit, like maybe he had a girlfriend, like a fat girl that he was content with chilling with. He had a phone that could keep him distracted all day. Who knows? Like it makes you just more susceptible to being easily trapped. It sounds bad. It sounds horrible. But I'm almost like, I'm not glad, but it's like me recognizing that there's a trap. I'm like, all right, well, that's like 90% of the competition gone. All these people just like, they're all like addicted to like just consuming content. Like you're never gonna surpass what I'm trying to do if like everyone, like, you know what I mean? That sounds like a dick thing to say.
Right. Well, no, let me put it in a nicer way. You're only competing with a small percent of the population who's driven.
That's the thing, is like if you just like, you don't even have to, like, it feels like there's not much competition in business realistically. You know what I mean?
There is, but you're right when you really think about it. Like, we'll say
like I'm not doing crazy, but
it's lonely at the top. It's because there's not that many people at the top, and so there's also room.
No, I know.
There's room to get there, and so you shouldn't be afraid of the competition.
No, I'm saying I know people do stuff better than me, obviously. Like I'm not making, $1 million a month, but you know what I'm saying?
No, I didn't hear you, like, yeah, it didn't sound like that. Yeah, no, there's competition. There are people that are better.
People
there
just
are
think
people
it's
that are
tougher
like
than...
trying to get better, but there's not so much competition that you can't make it. And
no, it's like you literally just like honestly just try and you make it. Like I don't know anyone that hasn't just tried, hasn't networked, hasn't started posting content for their personal brand, hasn't done constant self-analyzation. Like there's no one I know that's done that and not made it. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, join my Discord. It's free. I have some free social media tips, and follow me on Instagram. I'm giving $100 to someone who follows my Instagram. So yeah,
I follow.
You're not eligible.
Not eligible for any of the good stuff.